Welcome to the Parts and Labor Motorcycle Podcast. It's brought to you by Biltwell Inc. We're going to dive deep into anything motorcycle related. We're going to introduce you to some of the most interesting friends we know. And we might even try to solve a problem or two. You got a question? That'd be cool. Send us a voice recording or an email. pod@biltwellinc.com. pod@biltwellinc.com. And we're back here in studio. Okay, we're not really in studio. We're out of studio with another edition of the Parts and Labor Motorcycle Podcast. We have Bill Bryant. He's Skyping, zooming in remote from his underground bunker deep in the Pacific Northwest at an undisclosed location. Today we're going to be talking about the Pacific Northwest Motofest. It's an event that Bill schemed up. He's going to tell us a little bit why he thought this area would be prime for a motorcycle campout. And we're going to try to give you guys some of the info, some of the details, some of the who, what, where, and when, if you will, about this upcoming Biltwell event. Bill Bryant, take it over.
Thanks, Otto. Don't blame it all on me. This was a part of your idea too. So we were kind of looking for a place to do another event, something kind of along the lines of Kernville. And since I happen to live in Port Angeles, Washington, which is not really an undisclosed location, uh, I started looking around here, and then come to find out, my neighbors down the street own a really cool property that they developed for sprint boat racing, which is basically all motor, no draft, just tiny little super powerful boats that race around on a tiny course that's sort of like a motocross track on the water. You know, it's just a bunch of little turns and goes under bridges and all this neat stuff. So they developed that, and they're also doing off-road events and some neat stuff out there. And I've been to a couple of the events and was like, this looks like a pretty good place to park a bunch of motorcycles and throw a party. And started talking to the Morrisons, Dan and Kelly, and they were like, yeah, that sounds good. We like motorcycles. We like to party. Um, so we just started putting it together. Me and Otto, obviously talked about what it would take. And this one will be hard since we're so embedded down in SoCal. We've got so much like just logistical help down there, a bigger team. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I do have some friends up here that we can utilize, but it's not the same as drawn from, Temecula and Murrieta, Elsinore, that kind of stuff. But whatever, we'll figure it out and we'll get it done. I think some of the initial fears that everybody will have is like, oh my God, doesn't it rain every day? No, it doesn't rain every day. I mean, right now we're filming this in November. Pretty much rains every day. But
It's raining right now.
but every once in a while it doesn't rain, and then I run outside and worship the sun for 30 seconds. Actually, I'm making it sound worse than it is. August is a epic time of year. I like all the seasons up here, but not necessarily for riding motorcycles. In the winter, riding bikes up here kind of sucks, or you got to be tougher than I am. And there's definitely dudes. I mean, I see them, man, chaps and soaked riding on the 101 all the time. I could tell that's like, if not their only vehicle, it's probably the only one that starts reliably. And you're like, damn, these dudes are hard. So August isn't like that. You don't have to be a logger to figure that out. Like you can just come up and hang out, and it's usually in the 70s. The nighttime is in the 50s. Of course, there's always a chance for rain, but it's fairly unlikely. Generally doesn't happen. Um, what else? I could see some people saying, "Oh my God, that's super far." Like I've met people in Seattle. They're like, "Oh, Port Angeles. I heard of that. I had an aunt that went there once." I'm like, it's 2.5 hours. It's really not that far. For us, coming from Southern California, that's like going from Biltwell headquarters to LAX. It's not something I want to do all the time, but if I need to do it, I just do it at the drop of a hat. So um, it's also a pretty chill ride. What I like about the ride coming out here is like once you cross the Hood Canal, once you get on the peninsula, um my heart rate kind of goes down. It seems like the speed limits are about 60. I don't think it ever goes over 60. So if you're on an old bike, it's really chill. It's not like being on the 15 coming down the Cajon Pass with idiots passing on the right and all that stuff. It's just really relaxed. Of course, you got to watch out for deer We have little meat missiles that are always trying to kill you on a motorcycle, and there's definitely some log trucks and all that, but keep it around the speed limit and you're totally safe. And they're super twisty, and there's no areas where it's like 90 minutes between gas stops or any of that. There's always a little town or an intersection with a gas stop, all that. So it may sound remote or look really remote on the map, but it's fairly easy to get to. And for our Canadian friends, anybody that's over on Vancouver Island, it's super drop dead easy. Like you get on the ferry in Victoria. I think with customs and all that, it's maybe 90 minutes. The boat ride's not that long, but you got to work your way through customs and whatnot. And I would be stoked to see a bunch of guys come over from Canada for this. I think it would be fun. They kind of get the best view of Port Angeles. Like we can't really get far enough away from the mountains to see how bitchin' they are, but from Victoria you can see it and it's gorgeous. So anyway, go Canada. You guys should come too. Um, what else, Otto? What are we missing? What are people going to want to know?
Yeah, so if people haven't been paying attention, Bill punched out from Southern California a couple of years ago, and he's up in the Olympic Peninsula. It's about as Pacific Northwest as you can get. Literally any more Pacific Northwest, and you're gonna be in the water. So he not only is in love with that location, but he found a cool event site up there. So that's part of why we're having this little to do. Bill mentioned a couple fun ways that people can get there. There is going to be in August. There should be pretty good weather, and we're not super concerned. I'm not super concerned with people from you know Washington State thinking it's a little too far. I've already talked to a bunch of people from man, Idaho, Arizona, Southern California, Colorado that really are excited about the long trip, they get to take to go up to a place like this, and the event itself might just be kind of the cherry on top of their maybe week long excursion. As Bill pointed out, man, he found a really cool venue that lets they race these mini jet boats. They're about as wild and as loud as they get. So
It makes choppers look like child's play. Like
yeah,
these things are loud, gnarly, take talent and balls to race. Like, yeah.
yeah. Don't take that as a challenge, motorcycle riders, because I know you guys like to get wild. So none of you guys, Roy, I'm talking to you. Uh, don't think that you get to come up here and try to outdo the jet boat guys. But this is a cool venue that's used to people getting rowdy. Usually the jet boat guys show up with their motorhome and or RV and a trailer, so they're staying, they're camping on site, they're uh, they're partying for a weekend, and they're eating breakfast in town and checking out some of the local sites too, even though they're up there racing. And that's kind of what we think some of you guys might be interested in doing. There's some fun day trip rides, hikes, Bill's put together for you. I know from experience there's two or three different ways to get up there. I've ridden through there. I've ridden down the coast. I've come across on the ferry from Whidbey Island on a motorcycle. So there's a whole bunch of fun in and out routes to get out and get there. And again, in that time of the year, man, I mean, I'm also now out of Southern California, but Southern California is pretty hot that time of year. Northern California is pretty hot that time of year. If there was a destination that I could pin it up to the Oregon coast and then head up and then come back down a different route, a loop, if you will, not an out and back. That sounds like a really good location. So we thought this would be fun, and we know there are some local people. Everyone has through the years, made mention that why don't you guys do something over here? Why don't you guys do something over here? Why don't you guys do something over here? Well, primarily we did stuff in Southern California because that's where we were based. Most of us were based in Southern California, so we were just trying to have as much fun as we had with the time we had, and with a lot of our friends who lived local, and things have changed a little bit, and we know some of these areas are underserved. And man, frankly, we've seen a lot of Southern California. We've seen a lot of stuff. We have some events down there, and when Bill thought it was a good idea to have something in the Pacific Northwest, I was a little leery because I'm not from there as well, and I thought it rains up there a bunch. But yeah, we've been up there a few times, and it is beautiful, even when it is a little chilly. And this time of the year, it should be pretty damn good. So it's a fun spot that, man, for me, it checks a lot of the boxes, which are good riding, okay, for sure. Epic food, yeah, for sure. Lots of opportunities to like fish, hike, Maybe it's something I anticipate we get some guys that actually truck or trailer their bikes there. They might not ride there. They might come up with their camper and their old lady and their dog, and maybe they bring their two-stroke and they go ride some of the woods, where they hop on a boat and do some fishing. Or as Bill mentioned, maybe it's some guys from the States that never been to Canada. Man, this is a great opportunity to take the ferry north to Canada, have your passport, have all your stuff worked out with them. They don't like DUIs in Canada, and they don't like felonies. So if you're subject to any of that, you got to kind of get your paper.
And don't bring your gun. Don't bring your gun to Canada either. They get kind of sad.
They're not a
But
fan. I don't think you bring. They got everything.
yeah, just leave it at my shop and then get it on your way back. Man, you're totally right, Mike. Like if I was coming from far away, or even if I was coming from Seattle, I would try to turn this into at least a week. Like I see now that I've lived on the peninsula for coming up on 3 years, makes me a total expert
And a local.
and a total local. I got to put
Yeah,
on
yeah,
my local grocery store hat.
yeah,
Shout
yeah,
out to
yeah.
Agnew.
He bought that the first week.
I did. I'm trying to wear it out. It hasn't happened yet. Uh, this is a place that you really, especially if you're focused at the event on hanging out at the event, which you got to pay to camp and everything else, you might as well. We hope that you do. You're going to see music, you're going to do all this stuff, but you're barely going to scratch the surface of what's going on the Olympic Peninsula. So most people don't even know, most Americans don't even know what the Olympic Peninsula is. I know I didn't up until about 10 years ago, and I was actually born in Edmonds but moved when I was a baby, so I don't know shit about Washington. And so it's basically a big rectangle, and we're kind of almost in the upper left. We're close to it. You can easily ride to the very, most northwest corner of the continental United States and walk down some stairs and get to the beach and look around, and it's, mind blowing how beautiful it is. It's all the things that you expect. It looks like a Apple computer desktop screensaver kind of scene. There's surf spots, like let's say just from the campgrounds within 10 minutes, you're at some really good mountain bike trails that not like homemade stuff, like really good stuff that they do some decent sized races at. You're at off-road trails that you can go, you can take a dual sport or ADV bike, or if you got like a Jeep or side by side, something like that, depending on how gnarly you want to go, you can do that stuff. You can go about an hour west to CQ or a little bit further to Nia Bay. You can easily get on like a half day charter and go out and get a bunch of salmon. Um, you can fish for halibut. Like it's pretty easy to do. It ain't free, costs some money, but super, super good. Flynn and I did it this year and ended up with like probably 50 pounds of salmon in the freezer and at least that much in halibut. Like we're still eating it. So that's worth doing. If you go to the website under the events tabs, under the events tab, we have one, of course, for this. We're calling it, the official name is the Great Northwest Motofest, right? So we'll probably just shorten that to calling it the Motofest most of the time. But if you go all the way to the bottom of that page, I listed some local suggestions. So I have everything from a couple of different rides, my favorite places to eat or drink, and one of my tips is like just talk to a local. Like you might be surprised how friendly all the people in this town are. Just chat somebody up at the gas station or at the grocery store or whatever and ask them what they like. And you might get a completely different answer than whatever I gave you. But I'm at least giving you kind of a baseline, something to start with. Um, I think non-motorcycle related activities like I've listed super easy, not even a hike, just a little walk to a pretty nice waterfall, then a nice easy hike at Solduck Falls, another one that's more moderate to Striped Peak, and then my favorite one that's hard for me, but if you're really in shape, it's not that big a deal, is Lake Angeles. Another hard one is Storm King. In August, the Lake Crescent is going to be plenty warm, easy to swim in. There's a spot called Devil's Punch Bowl. We all went there a couple of years ago or last year and had a little Biltwell summit, did some jumping off the bridge into the water. It's just life affirming. You're in a beautiful spot and you can jump in, swim around, have a good time. You can go to the Lake Crescent Lodge, which is bitching, probably 100 and something years old. You can you can get food there, you can get drink there, you can rent a canoe, you can rent kayaks, all that. So my point is there's a ton of stuff to do. And if you wanted to stay over, Dan and Kelly have agreed that they'll rent camp spots to everybody. I want to say it was $35, but we'll have to see. I don't know if that was per person or per group or what, but we'll work that out with Dan and Kelly. So if you want to stay at that campground, you can. Um, and then the weekend after ours, our friend Bob, um, out at Cycle Camp in Forks or right near Forks, is going to do his run. It's called the Rainforest Run, and it's all 100% free. Bob is a retired hippie trash man, trash collector from NorCal. I know I'm going to get it wrong. Somewhere right around San Francisco.
I think Benicia.
Was it Benicia? Or I think half of it was. I think he might have started more like Marin or something. But anyways, he's from NorCal and just a sweetheart of an old guy that loves motorcycles, loves motorcycle people, and he's built I wouldn't even say small campground. He's built a campground on his own property. This was kind of his dream of moving from the big city, hucking 80-pound, 100-pound trash cans all day for I don't know 25 years or something. He moved out here and bought some property, and he's built a really nice shop. He's got like sort of like a big carport with a fire pit in it. So even if it's raining, you can have a nice big fire. It's got two fridges. One is like if you buy stuff and you don't want people to eat it, you put it in there. And then when you're leaving, rather than, most of us, if we buy a bunch of junk in town and then we don't eat it all, and you're camping on a bike, you end up throwing it away. It's so wasteful. Well, so he's got a free fridge, and you move all your stuff from the reserved fridge to the free fridge and leave it for the next guy. So it's the kind of place you can literally show up and be like, I don't have a sleeping mat and I'm hungry. And he's like, well, there's a shed over there with sleeping mats that got left behind, and this fridge is full of food. So anyway, it's just like you don't even need to plan much. You just show up out there, and he's got a beautiful spot with a bunch of trees and not far from the river. And he's just a sweet guy. He's been doing that. I think 2026 will be the 20th year, I believe. I think he's been trying to quit it for about 10 of those years. Kind of reminds me of us and the EDR. But so it may be the last run. You never know. It'd be a good year to see the rainforest run. I know I'm planning on going, and I think I'll look it up. I think it's just the website is called the Rainforest Run, so I'll look it up. And you met that guy, Otto. What did you think? I thought he was awesome. I think he's awesome.
He's a big, lovable teddy bear. He's got a cool spot. If you want to push out further on the peninsula than where we're having our event, that's a good excuse to start kind of making your way home. I think down the 101, right? Wouldn't you keep going down that way? To,
Yeah,
to I've ridden that way down to Southern California, and so yeah, spend a couple days at our thing, and then that following week start poking your way down that way. And if you like dirty naked hippies, I think Bob's got them in abundance. It sounds like, and that'll start getting heading you home. You can come up if you're coming from far away. Come up through the 97 and cross what is it the the divide. Uh,
right.
and there's a few different routes you can come in, and you can go save that cherry on top for that ride down the coast home. Man, it's really hard to beat. Washington, Oregon coast, California, uh, real good. So if you're coming from far away, that'd be a fun loop. Bill mentioned, there's a lot of things in this area that are going to be, you're going to want to give your attention to if you have the time. And if you don't have the time, we will also have a fun little 2 or 3 day event put together for you in the same kind of style and schedule of Kernville, uh, the El Diablo run. You show up on Friday, get settled, do a little partying. Saturday, hopefully go for a little ride locally and stay close to camp. Saturday afternoon, we'll fire up with some games, some bike show stuff, some bands, and try to burn it down. And Sunday morning, we'll clean up and send most of you guys home. So it's kind of the same schedule. Most of our the campers that show up at a lot of our events, they're like us. They got families, they got jobs, so we do this 2 or 3 day schedule because we know that's what a lot of people have time for, and especially this event where it's going to take almost everybody 2 or 3 days to get there. Depending on where they're coming from, we know that we got to kind of pack a lot of things in a short amount of time. So we always try to do that. We also try to leave you guys a little bit of time in your schedule to go do some local exploring. We put you in a fun area that's worth exploring. And as Bill mentioned, this area is awesome. Even if you just took the ferry for the day over to Vancouver, that would be, to me, that would be awesome. Like just go there Saturday morning,
You
you
can
know?
even if you want it. I mean, I there's still something novel to me about putting a bike on a boat, so I would always go with my bike. Um, but you could even park in Port Angeles at the ferry station, hop on foot, and then just you can bum around. Victoria's a big city. It's the capital of BC, I think. And you can totally just get around on foot and see everything. There's bars and restaurants, museums, just it's a total big international city. It's a neat contrast to Port Angeles, which is a lot more small town, former logging town kind of vibe that's different than this big metropolitan city that's just right across the strait from us. So that's definitely cool. Um, yeah, and the ride coming up, like from Oregon, if you're coming from the south, like you said, Mike, you can come up along the 101 and sort of skirt the Puget Sound. There's a couple of different ways, and then do the event, and then go home the other direction on the 101 to the west, and then south, and go through Westport and Astoria is a super neat little border town that's right where the Columbia River empties into the Pacific. That's a bitchin' spot.
Yeah, you got to
And
stop in Astoria at the Goonies house and do the truffle shuffle. If you haven't done
exactly.
that, then you're not a real biker, and I really don't want to be friends with you. I did it. It was awesome.
So that stuff is 100% worth doing. Um,
Yeah, right over the Columbia. Did you just say that? I mean that river is massive and scary and
that
gnarly.
bridge is like, I don't know how long it is, but it's long, and I
It's
I
long.
love bridges and tunnels, and that one kind of weirds me out a little bit on a bike. I love it. I love getting scared on there.
Yeah, it
I think
feels
it's
like there's a
cool.
lot of elevation. Like you go up and 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 it's just kind of most bridges are kind of flat, and that one you go up actually.
No, it feels like there's two. I think it's because big ships come through the high side, so it's like one bridge is high and then it just drops down and is like kind of flat and not very high above the water. So it kind of feels like two bridges put together. But I believe it's just done that way, so so that like tanker ships and stuff can get in. Or originally, I'm sure it was logging, log rafts and ships carrying timber. Um, what else? We're also on Saturday. I mean, our plan is to have. We're calling it a race, but it's pretty much not a race. Um, no, I mean, I guess it is. What in my mind, what I'd like it to be is something like the old sideburn days, where people might dress as a donut and then ride around on a three-wheeler, as well as people trying to go fast. So what we talked about was having a not very serious class and a kind of serious class. So like if you really you want to bring an actual flat track bike and try to back it in and go fast and have fun, well then you're going to be in the kind of serious class. And if you want to race, uh your old panhead chopper, then you're probably in that not very serious class. And if you want to dress up like who knows what, then that makes it even funnier. And I hope we can get some people. Like I'm planning on bringing the Cervicar down, and that'll be my entry. Uh, is to ride that old hunker around, and we'll see what else. I think that could be kind of fun, and it won't just be a flat track oval. It's going to be more like a TT track, so it'll slow things down. Like we had so much fun with the Circle of Death in Baja for the El Diablo run, but towards the end it just got so scary. Like I was just afraid we were going to kill an innocent bystander somehow. And the place that we're at now for this is really well defended. Like there's these big echo block walls, and we can get up on top of there and watch the race. And if somebody eats it, nobody's gonna. Well, the rider might get hurt, but that's their deal. The spectators, who you can never, trying to tell a bunch of spectators when they're partying their ass off in Mexico that they can't be on the outside of a turn, especially on something like an oval that doesn't really have much in the way of straightaways. Nobody really knows where to go, and it's impossible to control that crowd and to keep people safe. But this seems like a more controllable area where it makes more sense. And then also if we make it a TT where it's got a couple extra turns and it's got a little bump in the one straightaway, then it'll slow things down. And if you get some kook on his dyna trying to go 100 miles an hour, the course is going to slow him down, and the spectators should be out of the area enough that they're pretty safe. So I think that'll be fun. Bands wise, I mean, Huber's confirmed, right, Otto?
He is.
All right, so that our longtime friend Chris Huber, um, his band Crime Wave 66, his latest band, uh, is going to bring the heat. I mean, those guys are coming all the way from Tucson, so
They're
if
literally
you're,
bringing the heat. They're going to come in a van full of
yeah,
Tucson heat. Yeah, it's going to be hot when they
yes,
get out.
those guys like to party. And if you're not familiar with Crime Wave 66, I think they have some stuff on YouTube. They're fairly new. None of the guys are new to music. They're just new to that exact band, but do a little research and check it out. If you're not into energetic, bluesy, punk rock, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know how to define music anymore. Um, if you're expecting 38 Special, it's not going to be that. And if you don't like that kind of music, maybe go to town, go get dinner or something, come back. But I think most of our demographic, most of our people are into that kind of music. And then what about Friday night? Did we confirm that band?
I think we're going to have the Rhyolite play on Friday night. So
Cool.
if you missed the Rhyolite, if you'd never seen them from Kernville, they played Kernville many a time. They're from Las Vegas. We're trying to get them out.
Yeah, that'll be good, and that's a good contrast between the two bands. I mean, Rhyolite gets it on too. Uh, they're not Morrissey or something. They're getting it on, but I think that style is a little more bluesy, country storytelling, that kind of stuff, which is awesome. And then that'll be a neat contrast with Huber's Crime Wave 66 band.
Should be good. Should be good. So
What
we're
else?
trying to throw a couple bands at you guys and some games, and like always, we'll have some giveaways and uh, some prizes and some event merchandise to send you home with, so you can hang that T-shirt in the closet and remember the time you went to the Pacific Northwest and it rained the whole time and you got pink eye and you seen the
A
time
flat
wave bump.
tire and
Yeah, flat
yeah.
tire and got pulled over as soon as you got on the peninsula.
So I'm going to go through kind of a little bit. I'm looking at the website now, a couple of the FAQs that we wrote just for people that can't read. It's probably 75% of our customers and friends. Can I just come in for the day? So for 2026, the answer is no, because I don't know if we're going to have enough entertainment going on to make it worth it. This is kind of an answer to a question that I've got from a couple of local friends. They're like, man, I live 3 miles away. I don't feel like camping in the dirt with a bunch of people I don't know. Can I just come in for the day? And it's like, well, you you can pay the entry fee and come in and then hang out as late as you want and then leave and go home. And you'll get a wristband and you can come back if that's worth it to you. I don't know. I don't know. We don't even have ticket prices sorted yet, but it's probably going to be $100. And if you paid that much, would you be bummed if you just came in for the day and watched a little bit of amateur racing and a bike show with 25 bikes in it and music? I don't know. That's going to be up to you. Like if you're tight on budget, I wouldn't recommend coming in for the day. If $100 doesn't mean that much, then sure, go for it. But we're not going to have like a $10 day pass kind of thing. If it turns into where this thing is entertaining and we do have interest from locals in town that want to do that, then we'll figure that out for 2027. But for now, we just got to figure out how to keep everybody safe, how to have enough porta potties, how to pull off the racing and the bands and have reliable power, and do all the sort of basic logistics. So we'll work towards that in the future, but for this year, we're not going to do a day pass thing. Um, Another question that's pretty common is, can I buy my ticket at the gate on the day of? And the answer is no, because we have to plan for food, drink, entertainment, insurance, all this different stuff, and we just need to know how many riders to be ready for. So there's not going to be any tickets at the gate. This also makes it really fast for check-in if you're used to Kernville. We do the whole high speed app deal, and Josh usually administrates that. And you come in, boom, you scan your little magic QR, and you're in. And there's not a lot of messing around. Um, One question that I got that kind of surprised me, is there a VIP area? Well, Biltwell customer, everybody's very important in our world. So no, there's no VIP area. Everybody sleeps in the in the same area. We might try to cordon off where RVs go, just to keep. We really want to keep, four-wheeled or six-wheeled vehicles from mixing with bikes, just to keep things safe. And after all, this is a motorcycle camp out. But since so many people are coming from far away, it's inevitable that there's going to be some RVs. So, yeah, there's no VIP area, but there might be an RV area. Can I come early or stay late? Sure. Like I said, Dan and Kelly are going to make that place available to camp before and after. You'll have to pay them directly. There's no reservations for it as of now. I think you're just going to talk to them when you get down there. Or if you're interested in that, let me know and I can give you Kelly's email address, and you could email her and say, "Hey, I'm coming on Monday. Can I get 3 nights? Whatever." And we'll sort that out. Can I bring my dog or cat or Gila monster? Sure, you can, but realize that pets complicate things. Not everybody likes your dog. You may love your dog. I may hate your dog. So, actually, I hate more people than dogs, so that's probably not going to happen. But um, if you bring a pet, be responsible for the thing. You have to keep it from running around, roaming around, and rooting in people's stuff or being a pest. So just be a responsible pet owner. That's pretty easy. Kids, children, no. This is a 21 and over event because we're serving alcohol, and that's what's on our insurance, and we can't have kids. So at Bob's run, the rainforest run, he's fine with kids, so feel free to bring them out there. But for our deal, man, it's we're barely responsible for adults, let alone you throw some kids in the mix and expect us to keep them safe. It's just not it's not reasonable. Um, What else? Campfires. Now, August in Western Washington, there's a good chance there'll be a burn ban. The good news is it doesn't get dark till like 9:30 or something. Camping without a fire just feels lame to me. And we may be able to have a group one, according to Kelly, on like there's like a gravel parking lot area. We could probably do it there, like a communal fire pit, but you're most likely not gonna be able to just dig a fire pit ring and have a fire next to your bike. That's just this place. I mean, it's a massive forest, and August is way more dry than most people uh, that aren't from here would expect. Um, How do I sign up for the games? We're gonna have a little designated bar area, and we'll have a sign up sheet there. The whole schedule is on the website, and then we'll also have it on social media. We'll do little A-frame boards, placards with the schedule on site, so you can keep up with that stuff. Um, and You'll see when that bar area is open. We'll also have merch for sale there, undoubtedly. We are going to have some vendors like Barrett White Knuckler Knives is coming. The guys at Lowside are already stoked. And we got a few more people interested in being vendors. And I had to kind of swallow my pride on that a little bit. I've kind of always said, man, this is chopping, not shopping. But people want to buy stuff and they want to hang out with cool vendors, and cool vendors want to come to events like this. So we're not going to have the car cover guy or something dorky, but we'll have some like kind of handpicked friends to show up and hawk their wares. So if you're interested in being a vendor, if you want to come, it's not that big of a deal. Get a hold of us through the website or through email, events@biltwellinc.com, and we can get you sorted. Same thing if you want to be a sponsor. Somebody wants to give us money to be part of this, go for it. We'd be stoked. We definitely already have quite a few, but as long as there's no conflicts, we could slip you in there.
I'm trying to get the guy that polishes eyeglasses to come. You talk about we don't want the car cover guy, but do you know the guy that polishes your eyeglasses and takes the scratches out of your goggles? I'm trying to see if that guy can make it. But besides that, as Bill mentioned, we usually get a couple cool vendors. It's something that's kind of been creeping into all of our events this year at Kernville. We had the LFG, Low Side, White Knuckler, um, Claiborne. So we've started to let some of our friends in because people like coming to these events and buying some stuff, and
Yeah.
the sponsors have been they've been requesting it for a while. So we'll have some, some of those guys will be local, some of them will have come from far away, but it kind of adds to the festival atmosphere that we're trying to promote. And um, yeah, we're when we make the schedule and we invite those guys in, it's because we listen to whoever's coming out here, we listen to sponsors, we listen to the guys that show up that want to party and what they want, and we're not making a party that Bill and Otto think is amazing. We're kind of taking everyone's feedback and always fine tuning it. Uh, Starting to do bands on Friday night is something new to our schedule. We've always kind of just done some iPod or some kind of chill music on Friday, but now man, we had a band at Kernville. Rich, Filthy Rich came, played with Shelby Cobra at Kernville this year, and it was awesome. They killed it. They just played this weird little acoustic set, and everyone was into it. And so we're gonna have the Rhyolite play, I think, on Friday night, or if they don't want to play, we'll find somebody else. But we're always kind of constantly tuning up the schedule and making changes where we see fit, and it's made for our events. Try to keep them fresh. We don't. No one wants to come to the same event every single year in the same place with the same schedule. We found so this one we're taking what we've learned from all of the other events. Close to Bill's been doing the stuff for Biltwell for 20 years. I've been doing it for a hot minute, and we're starting a brand new event. So you guys are gonna get the benefit of all of our years of doing events. And we also attend a lot of other people's events, and we see stuff that's good and we steal it, and we see stuff that sucks and we make sure we never do that. So we'll try to make this a fun little thing for you. And again, I always say what makes an event really is timing and location, and after that it's all gravy. And this one really is, the location is fabulous and the timing should be about as good as it gets up there. So if you don't have fun coming up to the Pacific Northwest in August, I think you probably just don't have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Having a good time should be easy. And I don't know, with our events, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much experience we have with them, year one is always a little bit of a struggle. Just anybody that's ever done events can tell you it's hard, man. And so we'll do it. We'll make some mistakes. Year two, we'll polish it. It'll get a little better. By year three, it's usually pretty smooth, and we work all the kinks out. But the thing that people always talk about year seven and eight is how great it was year one and two when there was only a certain amount of people, and they got to see it go from something pretty small to something kind of big after a few years. So um, I think this will probably be like that, except I got a feeling it's going to start off not super tiny. Like I think we're there. The amount of people that have been talking to us about it and the reach that we've got now, I think it'll start off with quite a few people year one, and then we'll just take it from there. Um, I know for locals, like uh, if anybody wants to be a vendor, anybody that's in and around Port Angeles, if you think you've got stuff that you want to expose our customers to, which are dirty bikers from 25 to 45 for the most part, and not outlaw types, we're just a bunch of dumb, everything from choppers to FXRs, Dynas, baggers, whatever. I try to lean more towards the vintage stuff, but not all of our customers do. Um, if you're local that's into that stuff, by all means, get a hold of us and we'd love to have you out. If you're a local that knows a great sound guy for outdoor music, definitely get a hold of us. That's something that we need to secure. We'd like to hire everything locally. And as we get to know more and more people, and as I get to get more integrated into the local community, then we'll do even more of that. And I think um, another thing on the subject of locals is like some people have a weird perception of motorcycle riders, like they're bikers from Hell's Angels 69 movies or something. That ain't happening. That's not our guys. That, in fact, most of that never really happened in reality. That was made up by Hollywood. But um, The good thing about motorcyclists, it's not like a bunch of people in RVs that come through town and buy everything at Costco. That's one of Otto's famous sayings. Our guys come in, they buy every can of beer, every bottle of water. Half the time they don't show up with a tent. They got to buy one of them in town. They buy every meal, all that stuff. So generally, it's really good for local economies when we bring a bunch of motorcyclists in. I mean, at Kernville, when we bring in 1,500 people, we double the size of the town. And of course, the noise is a thing, traffic is a thing. You know, you have all these new people with tattoos on their face in your town, and it seems scary or whatever. Man, mostly a bunch of nerds that just really love the freedom of the open road, and they like camping and partying with their friends, and they're generally really polite, really friendly, helpful. These are the guys that are going to stop and help you when you have a flat tire, you know, on the side of the road. So don't judge them just by their looks, and be prepared to let them spend some money in your town. And I think it'll go over really smooth.
Yeah, our customer probably makes more money than you kind of would imagine it. He would by looking at him, as Bill mentioned, because he got tattoos all over maybe. But these guys are nice. Uh, Chances are, if they're making their way out here in the peninsula, you know, like they've done some planning, they've already spent a bunch of money, and they're not gonna be pinching pennies, you know, in hopes that they can you know, they're not going to have a good time because they don't want to spend that last 50, $100. You know, they're going to be in town, they're going to be
Yeah.
drinking, they're going to be getting gas 10 times because they're on a motorcycle, you know, and it's not going to be all Harley guys. We got, especially in Washington, I do think we're going to get a lot of metric bikes, adventure bikes.
Yep.
You know, it's been changing at all of our events, you know, as we get guys on ADV bikes as they kind of figure out that's like the cheapest, most fun you can have on a motorcycle a lot of times. You don't have to go buy some big dumb Harley and have it break down on you right and left. You can get some Honda Africa Twin or whatever and never do anything to it and ride it all over. And those guys are definitely going to be at our events, and uh, they're going to be out spending money. You know, they come into
Yeah.
town with nothing, and they want to eat local. You know, you come to Port Angeles, you're not going to eat hot dogs, dude. You're going to eat seafood. I'm going to eat seafood every single meal. You know what I mean? And I'm going to eat good, dude. I'm going to eat two lunches and two dinners because there's so much good food up there. You know, and I think our guy's going to be doing a lot of that too. So, uh, yeah, if you're local and you're worried about that, I don't know, maybe you're in the wrong spot because Port Angeles, that area is it's they make a lot of money in the summertime from tourism. So we stacked our event at the right time where we think a lot of those shops will still be open. Some of that stuff's definitely seasonal. You know, we get that at Kernville where, you know, we picked our date because everybody's shutting down for the winter, you know, and it's kind of going to be a little bit of that up in Port Angeles. So it's like if you're a local business, stay open that 1 or 2 more weeks and get a little more money from our guys coming into town. Um,
Yeah. In August, everybody will be open, and it's hard to get in certain restaurants in August. Like it's still full steam. Like we've got tourists from all over the place, and most of the locals kind of hunker down and are like, "Yeah, I'll go to my favorite restaurant in October." At least that's what I do. Or I go in between times, like go get lunch at 3 o'clock. Don't get lunch at noon and dinner at 5:30. Like, you know, you got to be smart. And also, what's cool, you know, Port Angeles is a traditional old downtown that was, you know, built more than 100 years ago, and you can just park anywhere you want, and you can walk the entire town, the entire downtown, and you can poke your head in and be like, oh, uh base camp doesn't have a wait, but you know, the other place around the corner does, so we're going to go over here and whatever. So you can just kind of walk around and poke your head in and see what's going on at places, and most of them don't take reservations. Some might, some of the slightly higher end ones, but for the most part you don't need that. One little trick right out on the 101 is one that me and Otto went to, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago when you were up here, called Yodelin. You can always get a table at Yodelin. They got a big outdoor area with picnic tables, and it's super fresh seafood. Like kind of interesting, like a menu I've never even really seen, like ramen bowls and rice bowls, kind of like poke, but a little like their own spin on it. And it's got a good little surfy vibe. Like it's a great place. Um, so anyway, there's no shortage of places to eat, and should be fine. I think everybody can find something that they enjoy. Then there's good grocery stores. There's a regular Safeway on each end of town. There's a cool little store downtown that's got everything from, bulk laundry detergent to the best deal on sandwiches. You can get $5 sandwiches there, but you got to get them in the morning because they only make a certain amount and then they're out by lunch. That's called Country Air, and it's super good. It's like what an independent Trader Joe's kind of thing, super local, super indie, and they support the community, and I love shopping there. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think should be fun. We'll see. Like I said, we'll learn year one, and then we'll adjust year two, and then hopefully year three, we'll kind of be on track.
Yeah. Well, it's not our first rodeo, so we think we got some of the stuff right, and we got the big stuff already set in place, and we'll figure out some of the other stuff as we get closer to it. But it should be a good time. It's already a spot that I enjoy going up to, and yeah, if you got time and you can make a longer trip out of this, man, I really recommend. If you could do 2 weeks on the road, this will be a fun little halfway, point. Make it up there, or maybe even go a little further up to Canada and come back down, depending on where you're coming from. And there's a whole bunch of good riding in this swath of the United States, this time of the year. So you won't be bummed, I don't think.
Absolutely. And like you said, I mean, something unique about our events that maybe not everybody understands is we're 100% non-denominational motorcycle enthusiasts. So you can come on your Africa Twin, you can come on a XS650, you can come on a street bike, Hayabusa, we don't care. I might like black shovel heads, but this is open to anybody, and we're not checking how high your cuffs are or what year your VIN number is or any of that stuff. We've never been that kind of elitist about anything because it just doesn't fit with our, sort of grassroots deal. Um, so yeah, it's everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what you ride. If you're a motorcycle person, show up and have a good time.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will. Like I said, we got a little more steam than we've had in years past. We started Kernville, it was probably 30 or 40 guys, maybe, down in the corner of Frandy's campground, and
Yep.
uh, and that was free. And this one, I think we got, it's 11 years after that. So I think we're going to get some people. And as you mentioned already, the buzz is it's strong. People are looking for something to do, local or guys from 500 miles away. Same deal. They want to get up and check out an area maybe they've never been to, or maybe they have been and they know how good it is. They want to share some of it with their friends. I know for me personally, a lot of times it's not just going to the event one time. It's coming back later with friends, family, my wife. Falling in love with a certain area and then coming back, checking it out different times of the year. And I think this is kind of going to be one of those areas where if you've never been, you might be like, oh, it's awesome in August. I would like to check it out when it's storming because it's probably a different kind of awesome, and maybe that's the time I bring the wife and the dog and the truck and we do something different. We go up into Canada or something, but um, I got no hesitation about this area being a fun place to go to. And um, like Bill said, be patient with us our first time at this venue, but Bill sought it out because they seem to be welcoming to all sorts of nefarious characters, whether it be mini jet boats or motorcycle riders. It limits you when you call someone and you tell them you want to have a motorcycle camp out. A lot of times you get the don't call back. We're busy, But Kelly was real nice, and her husband Dan never quits working on this place, and because of it, they got a cool facility it's pretty welcoming. So to me, the how I gauge whether this first year is a success or not is probably different than how our attendees gauge it. They want to gauge it on how much fun they had and how many miles they put down. If we get the invite back to a really cool venue, then I think it's a success. We can continue to build on it. So I behoove all of you guys that are coming out. Help us get the invite back. Pick up your trash and be cordial to people if they're asking you to turn off your motorcycle or do something that maybe you're not accustomed to doing. Just help them out. We want to get the invite back, and that counts. As soon as you hop off the ferry all the way till you get to the venue. You know what I mean? The word travels real fast. If our people, it only takes one guy to ruin it, you know, and we've had some trouble through the years from some knucklehead will make a stink at the gas station 50 miles away, you know, and we hear about it for years and years and years. And so we're hoping we don't have to deal with any of that, but we know it's a special place. So that's why we wanted to get up here on the podcast beforehand and kind of preemptively ask you to keep things cool and start making your plans now. Ask for time off from work. You know, some of you guys get to make your own schedule, and if you're one of those guys, yeah, maybe start planning on a bigger trip because there's so much good stuff in this area that you can go check out, and our little destination might be only one couple couple days of your trip, but it'll be a good one, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I guess that's probably about it. I mean, again, if anybody needs more information, wants to be a vendor, wants to be a sponsor, wants to be a band, knows a sound guy, got any tips for us, locals that have concerns, any of that, you can hit us up at events@biltwellinc.com. If you want to hit me up directly, it's bill@biltwellinc.com. Pretty simple. There's also links on our website. Make sure to go to biltwellinc.com and then look at events, look at the the Great Northwest Motofest, and should be just about all the info you need on there. Basically, you need about $100, buy your ticket in advance, show up August 7th, hang out till August 9th, ride your motorcycle, party, have some fun, go home.
Bring a friend.
Yeah, bring a friend or six.
Yep.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Also, you know, we do a little feature on this podcast called "Roast My Bike." If you think you got a hot motorcycle, I'd like to shut you down. So please submit all your hot motorcycle pictures and/or descriptions to pod@biltwellinc.com. That's pod@biltwellinc.com, and we will tell you how sucky your motorcycle is.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to a couple of old men rant about parties, and we'll talk to you later.
Later. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Parts and Labor Podcast brought to you by Biltwell. You got any feedback? You got any questions? Send us a voice recording or an email at pod@biltwellinc.com. That's pod@biltwellinc.com.